Hi, I'm Raborn Johnson for Sample Library Review, and today I'm checking out Chamber Strings Essentials by Spitfire Audio. Spitfire Audio's Chamber Strings has been one of the most, if not the most popular string library across the entire range of Spitfire Audio string libraries. Now, with the Essentials version, you can pick up the sound of Spitfire's Chamber Strings library with only the essential articulations and mic positions at a much lower price. Chamber Strings Essentials is compatible with the free Contact Player 5.6.8 or above. It downloads at around 28 gigabytes and includes the essential techniques composers will likely use 90 to 95% of the time. The library also includes only the close and tree mic signals as opposed to the 3 mic positions found in the core library and the 7 mic positions found in the professional edition. Chamber Strings Essentials is available from Spitfire Audio for $249. This isn't an original library, it is one of Spitfire Audio's most popular libraries, created in a format that's much more affordable and much more accessible for a lot of composers out there who couldn't afford the more expensive core or professional editions. So what's different? Well, with Spitfire Chamber Strings Essentials, instead of getting, a ton of different techniques, like I think there's 193 in core and professional, you get 53 here. So you get those articulations that are kind of the bread and butter for every composer, those articulations and techniques that you're going to use probably 90 to 95% of the time, such as your longs, your spiccatos, your pizzicatos, harmonics, those kinds of things. So it's the same library, except for that and the fact that instead of getting 3 mic positions in the core and 7 mic positions in the professional, you just get the tree and the close mic in this library. But once again, to me, it's the sound and the techniques that most composers are going to use most of the time. And again, in a much more affordable package. I think the core edition is somewhere in the $450 or $500 range. I can't remember exactly. Whereas this package is only $249. And obviously the professional is even much more than that. I want to say it's around $700 or more dollars. So a much more affordable package, but just something that you might already be familiar with. You might already have in your toolkit. So if you already have Spitfire Chamber Strings Core or Professional, you probably don't even need to watch this review because there's nothing new to see here. But if you've been wanting to invest in a really good bread and butter string library without breaking the bank, then continue to watch because this is a classic, and I think it's something a whole lot of composers would get a whole lot of use out of. So we're going to dive right in. You can see that there are 6 folders to choose from. Obviously, your violin 1 and 2, violas, celli, and basses. I'm going to actually start with the ensemble patch, and then we'll move into each of these individually. And staccato. And pizzicato. and harmonics. And trills in the minor second. And the major second. All right, let's move along to our violins. And obviously with this interface, if you're not familiar with it, this is obviously the Kontakt Player library. So you don't have to have the full version of Kontakt. This is compatible with the free Kontakt Player. And Spitfire's Kontakt interface, they've had it around for a very long time. They've, of course, with their newer libraries, they have moved along to their own proprietary plugin. I personally am glad that they've put this in Kontakt. I am deeply invested in Kontakt, and that's where I prefer most of my libraries to be, so I'm pleased that they have this there. You do have this wrench icon that allows you to go kind of from an easy view where you can move between close and far instead of operating the individual mics. It gives you a little visual representation of each of the articulations. Your controls here are a little more graphically pleasing to look at. This is more of kind of the power user interface, I guess you would say. You've got your close and tree together where you can, you can play with those individually. You've got your vibrato control, your speed release. I will say one thing I'm a little bit disappointed about is the fact that even though this is a Kontakt Player library, it doesn't seem to be NKS compatible. And I don't know how many of you out there are using NKS. I would be interested to see that in the comments. So comment below if you do or do not use NKS instruments. But for those of you who might not be familiar, NKS is the native instrument standard that it's compatible with, things like the machine and the complete controllers, that kind of thing. It just allows you to preview sounds, and it auto maps things like the controls that you see here. If you had a complete control, these would be, and it was NKS compatible, these would already be auto mapped. So I am a little bit disappointed that that's not there, because I was actually excited to say, oh, okay, they're going to auto map things like vibrato and dynamics and all of that. It's not a huge deal that you map these yourself. Obviously, you can just right click them and learn your automation. I'm going to do that for the vibrato here. So, I can now do that, but it's just, it would have been nice to have that NKS compatibility. All right. So here's Violins 1 in the legato. And then, unfortunately, on my complete control, the vibrato control that I have mapped is kind of far from the mod wheel, so I can't do them both at the same time. So I'm just going to do those independently here so you can get a feel for what the vibrato is doing. I really like that vibrato control. That's a very, very, not just a nifty thing to have. It feels very necessary to me. All right, so I probably won't be able to control a lot of vibrato for you. I'm just going to kind of set that and forget it so I can go back to the mod wheel. And I'm going to play multiple notes with the violins here. Obviously, if you were playing 2 notes at a time, you would do that probably across violins 1 and violins 2. But this is just to kind of give you a feel for that. Really, really love those harmonics. All right, let's move along to actually, you know what? We're going to skip the second violins. We're just going to go straight to the violas. And once again, I'm going to go to the wrench. I'm going to turn on those close mics and turn them down just a hair. And let's see what we've got with the legato. I really like those trims. I really like that. Those are, let's go back to that. Those are really powerful. And I really love the mod wheel here. The mod wheel moving between dynamic layers. This library has been out for years now, and I've never actually used Spitfire chamber strings in all these years. I've had so many other string libraries that I just never pulled the trigger because it didn't feel like it was going to add something I didn't already have. But I have to say, as many years as this library's been out, it really holds up. It's impressive to me, the movement between dynamic layers and how smooth that is as you go across the mod wheel. It's really nice. All right, let's skip back down to the Cellis. Or down to the Celli. I'm pronouncing it. I'm pluralizing something that's already plural. All right, let's go close mic. Pull that back a little bit. And let's go with the longs. Let's do some vibrato there. Oh, let's actually map that. I need to remap it now that we've moved that around. There we go. Okay. And let's do the longs. All right, and finally, let's move along to the basses. Once again, I'm going to turn that close mic, and I'm going to pull it down just a little bit. Let's do some legato here. There's just a lot to like here. Obviously, this is a library that stood the test of time. It's one of Spitfire Audio's absolute most popular libraries, period, and definitely one of their most popular string libraries. And now it's, put into an affordable package that many, many more people can afford, with those bread and butter articulations that you're going to use the majority of the time, those mic positions that you're going to use the majority of the time. It's just really stripped back, but it's stripped back in a way that's classy and that doesn't take away or diminish anything that would, be something that you would want to reach for on a daily basis. I personally really like the fact that there's an ensemble patch. That's not just great for writing, but honestly, sometimes I start with an ensemble patch and then I don't even move to the individual instruments. Most of the time I do, but sometimes even when I do move to the individual instruments, a lot of times I have an ensemble patch underneath there, kind of layering the individual instruments. So I really like it when they do that. It just is so much easier in my mind to build your string arrangements when there is an ensemble patch here. So who is this for? Well, obviously, if you already have the core or professional edition, this library is really not for you. You already have everything that's here. But if you're if you're a new composer who doesn't yet have a string library and you're wanting to invest in a really good bread and butter, meat and potatoes string library, this is a great package. You really can't go wrong with it. Anyone who's wanting to add colors to their string palette, maybe you have other string libraries, other larger orchestral libraries, this is perfect. If you're wanting to add another flavor, another tone to your string palette, this is perfect for that. That chamber strings, sound is just, it's much more detailed and crisp. You know, when you have orchestral strings, they tend to be really big and, you know, almost, gosh, I'm trying to think of the word. They're not as defined, right? They have more, they're like painting with a broad brush. They're more full, and they're, you know, you don't have the detail that you have in a smaller string library like you do with chamber strings. I personally love chamber strings. They're like a perfect balance between solo strings and orchestral strings. They kind of sit right there in the middle. It's what you hear on a whole lot of, you know, a whole lot of songs or tracks where the strings really carry them, and it's, you know, either strings and a piano, or it's just strings. A lot of times it's chamber strings because they really give you a definition that you don't get with orchestral strings, and they give you, you know, a more full-bodied sound than you would get with, say, a string quartet. So again, Spitfire Chamber Strings Essentials, it's, you know, has stood the test of time, and now it's available to you in a package that you probably can afford. Thank you for checking out Chamber Strings Essentials with me today. So what do you think? Will you be picking this one up? How does it compare to other string libraries you either currently use or are already familiar with? Comment below and share your thoughts. Make sure to like the video and share it with your friends, and please subscribe to the channel. Also, check out samplelibraryreview.com for more news and reviews, and stay in the know about weekly sales via our weekly deal compressor.